friends, this is Free Opinion bringing you my free opinion. I want to show you the first black senators ever elected into office. And the reason that I want to do this is because I seen Jim Crow was trending. And people are on there saying, oh, the Republicans and Jim Crow, they go hand in hand. When in all reality, Jim Crow was always a Democrat stance. And I can prove it. But first, the first three black senators were all Republicans. You want to know the first black senator? This woman right here. In 1993. The first black man was in 1870. Over 100 years later, the Democrats finally were like, yeah, we'll elect a black person. And then there wasn't another one until 2005, and that was Mr. Barack Obama over here. Let's keep going into other things, though, here. Here was the first black man, okay? Hiram Rhodes reveals... Revels, I think that's how you say his last name, arrived on Capitol Hill to take his seat as the first black man of the U.S. Congress in 1870. But first, the Mississippi Republicans faced Democrats determined to block him. This is not the first time nor the last time Democrats tried to block a black man from being in office. Clarence Thomas, Democrats did not want him to be in the Supreme Court. They even tried to say that him making a joke about a hair on his soda was somehow sexual harassment. Because he said, whose curly Q is on my soda? Let's keep going, though, friends. The Constitution requires senators to hold citizenship for at least 9 years, and they argued rebels had only recently become a citizen with the 1866 Civil Rights Act and the 14th Amendment. Before that, the Supreme Court had ruled in its 1857 Dred Scott decision that black people weren't U.S. citizens. They seen us as property back then. Republicans were the only ones that didn't. Let's keep going. This technically wasn't actually their main issue with rebels. At the time, the Democrats were the party of white Southern men, and they simply didn't want any black men in Congress. I can prove this. I will put the picture right here of what they used to run their elections on, what their whole selling point of the Democrat Party was. In any case, their bad faith legal argument didn't hold up. Rebels' fellow Republicans argued he was born a free man in the United States and had lived there all his life. Dred Scott was a bad decision that should have never been made, which the Civil Rights Act and the 14th Amendment had sought to redress, they argued. Just because the law had only recently recognized black men's citizenship didn't mean he was a new citizen, and that is what made him become the first black man in office. Let's keep going. Jim Crow laws, because Jim Crow was trending. That's why I'm fucking ranting about this today, folks, because you white liberals and Democrats keep thinking that minorities don't understand how to use their iPhones and Androids. I'm sorry, friends, I probably know how to use a computer better than most of you Democrats, especially you older ones. I also know how to get an ID. I know how to register to vote. I'm not stupid, and nor are the rest of minorities. Let's read this real quick, friends. Jim Crow laws were state and local laws that enforced racial segregation in the southern United States. These laws were enacted in the late 19th and early 20th centuries by white Southern Democrats dominated state legislators to disenfranchise and remove political and economic gains made by black people during the Reconstruction period. The Republican Party, Lily White movement supported the exclusion of African Americans. Jim Crow laws were enforced until 1965. Here's the thing. The minority of the Republican Party did support segregation. I could admit that. Most of the people that wanted segregation lived in Democrat-dominated states, and that's what they knew. Not saying it was right. Believe me, even the segregation, that the little bits of it we've been seeing in today's era, sickens me. Because instead of us going forward, we are going backwards. Progressive really means regression in my eyes. Now, there is more to this. All right. All right, so listen to this. During the Reconstruction period of 1865 through 1877, federal law provided civil rights protection in the U.S. South for freed men, which were all slaves back then, became free men. African Americans who had formerly been slaves, and the minority of black people who had been freed before the war. In the 1870s, Democrats gradually regained power in the Southern legislatures after having used insurgent paramilitary groups such as the White League and the Red Shirts to disrupt Republican organizing, run Republican office holders out of town, and intimidate black men to suppress their voting. That is voter suppression. You don't see Republicans standing outside of polls telling black people, we don't like your kind around here. You will never see that. You will never see that. All we want is for you to go and get an ID. Prove that you are who you say you are. Because here's the thing, folks. When you go and buy a vehicle, do you need to show ID and prove who you are using, your ID, your bank account to pay for the car? They need to prove that you are who you say you are to register that vehicle to you. A gun. You can't buy a gun without having identification. Why is that? Because it's the law. You can't go into a R-rated movie, buy alcohol, or buy cigarettes without having an ID. Why wouldn't you have an ID to vote? Extensive voter fraud. Look at that. Even back then there was voter fraud. Extensive voter fraud was also used. In one instance, an outright coup or insurrection in coastal North Carolina led to the violent removal of democratically elected non-Democratic Party executive and representative officials who were either hunted down or hounded out. You guys need to open your eyes and start realizing that the Democrat establishment is using you people, the white liberals, trying to use black people through racism, using Black Lives Matter to push them into office even more. These people do not care about black people. They don't care about you white liberals. They don't care about anybody that is not at the same economic status as them. Let me know what you guys think. I'm pretty sure that I've hit it on the nose. But remember, the Democrats made the KKK. The Democrats made the Jim Crow laws. Segregation, not desegregation. They voted against that. And they're the ones that think minorities are too dumb because of their skin tone, because of the amount of melanin in their skin, that they are too dumb to go out and get an ID. Let me know what you guys think. Please have a nice day. Like, comment, subscribe if you think I've earned it. And I'll talk to you all again real soon.